Good morning, happy Monday, everybody. So the Democrats in New Jersey, they have found a new public safety threat, and that's mothers homeschooling their children. Yeah, they've introduced a new bill that is going to regulate education for homeschool kids to include DEI and climate change, and also it's going to make mothers have to report to a school official once a year. So yeah, it's pretty wild. Let's get into it. Yeah, what could be more detrimental to the leftist radical agenda than a mother trying to homeschool their children to the best of their abilities, right? And we're seeing this trend pop up in the United States more and more. It's becoming more popular where parents are actually homeschooling their kids rather than put them in the indoctrination of public schools. So let's hear a little bit of this story from Fox.
So as many as 94,000 New Jersey students are homeschooled, and 2 new Senate bills could put the state in control of their lesson plans. The bills require homeschooling programs to meet New Jersey learning standards, which includes lessons on things like climate change and DEI practices.
Yes, diversity, equity, inclusion, and climate change. Very important to the Democrats. Very important. And they're going to try to force parents to teach this stuff to their children, right? As if the Democrats weren't racist enough, they have to continuously strive to make everybody else as racist as them, right? But let's get into this. So parents will also be mandated to share a copy of the homeschooling curriculum, which shall be aligned with New Jersey student learning standards, according to the Democrats, right? In addition to setting requirements for mathematics and science, state learning standards require lesson plans to cover issues such as climate change and DEI in K through 12 classrooms. Now, if parents aren't actively failing their children in education standards, why are the Democrats trying to push this agenda on people who want to homeschool? Well, it's control. It's control. That's what the Democrats want. They want all of the control in the government and the people to have none of it, right? So let's go over some statistics here. SAT scores. On average, homeschooled students score 1190 on the SAT compared to 1060 for public school students. College graduation rates. About 67% of homeschooled students graduate from college compared to 59% of high school graduates. Standard test performance. Over 78% of peer-reviewed studies indicate that homeschooled students perform statistically significantly better than their public school counterparts. Now, Fox also interviewed some New Jersey moms. Let's see what they had to say.
2 New Jersey moms, Candace Needham and Deanna Nye, join us now. Welcome to you both. Deanna, I want to start with you first because homeschooling is something you're very familiar with already for your children. This is your chosen path. What do you make of the state saying, well, we want to know what you're teaching at home, and actually we want to regulate it?
Thank you so much, Sandra. So I homeschool for an abundance of reasons. And those reasons came in when our state failed to provide an education that best fit my children's needs. So along with those 3, there are so many others that opted out when the governor said, no, virtual learning is bad. Well, those 3 kids actually did fantastic.
I thank you first for having me. But yes, I do see a big problem with the state stepping in. Homeschool students continue to outperform public school students. So I don't see a point in the state stepping in if on standardized testing, SATs, your ACTs, homeschool students are continuing to outperform public school students. There's obviously nothing wrong with what they're being taught, and you can see that through their standardized testing. So I don't see a need for the state to be stepping in.
Yeah, and Deanna, that has been the case historically when we look at those test performance levels. The homeschooled kids in many cases do outperform the public school kids. And there are some parents who are saying, wait, I homeschool my kid because they felt like the public school system in some cases were failing their families, or it just wasn't the right fit for their family. So, Deanna, is it fair to say they're concerned that if they see the step in, that homeschooling environment that they've created for their children would dramatically change?
It would dramatically change because what we're doing is they're going to add bureaucratic oversight to homeschoolers when in 1967, State versus Massa gave us parents that right to homeschool our children for our own educational freedom.
Yes, it's purely about control at this moment in time because every statistic shows that homeschooling is better for children than public schooling, right? In every aspect of it. Because parents care more about their own children than the teachers do. And in a lot of areas, they're literally just passing these kids that can't read, can't write, don't know science, so that they receive federal funding. But what do you think? Would you allow your child to go to public schools in the year 2025, especially in Democrat areas where they're allowing kids to use litter boxes in the bathroom?
Let's talk about furries. It was addressed by a child a couple months ago that they are put in an environment where there are kids that identify as a furry, a cat or a dog, whatever. And so yesterday I heard that at least one of our schools in our town has in one of the unisex bathrooms, a litter box for the kids that identify as cats. And I am really disturbed by that. And I will do some more investigation on that. I know it's going on nationwide. I know it is. It's part of the agenda that's being pushed. I don't even want to understand it. But I think that people need to be aware of it because I am really upset as a parent that my child is put in an environment like that. And you know, I'm all for creativity and imagination, but when someone lives in a fantasy world and expects other people to go along with it, I have a problem with that. So I'm just putting that out there. I will investigate more.
Yeah, what a time to be alive, you know? Even if you have to question if there's a litter box in the bathroom, that is bizarre. And parents are taking their children out of public schools for a variety of reasons, right? Mostly because, like I said earlier, they're failing the children. Now, another reason that they're pulling their children out of public schools is because they don't want their kid to be confused or indoctrinated into thinking that they're the opposite gender than they really are. Like in the case of the Kelly Loving Act in Colorado, Protection for Gender Affirming Care. The act aims to protect transgender individuals, their families, and healthcare providers from legal consequences related to seeking or providing gender-affirming care within Colorado, even if it's prohibited in other states. Custody disputes. The act states that a parent's non-affirmation of a child's gender identity or threatening to disclose information about their gender-affirming care could be considered a form of coercive control during child custody proceedings. This could potentially affect custody decisions. School records and parental support. The act mandates that Colorado schools honor a student's gender identity, including using chosen names and pronouns and allowing gender-affirming dress. If a parent opposes these measures, schools may document this, potentially impacting custody decisions. Sick. Yeah, because that couldn't go wrong for some poor mother or father that's doing their best but refuses to call little Dan Dana. And note on Bill A5825 out of New Jersey, there's no date yet scheduled for the vote on that bill. And if you'd like to monitor progress on the bill, you can go to New Jersey's legislature's website or go to organizations such as Legiscan. But that's what I have for you on this beautiful, beautiful Monday. I hope you guys have an outstanding, wonderful day. Be thankful if you don't live in states such as Colorado and New Jersey as well, if you have children, that is. And yeah, get outside, do some PT, hydrate, and change your socks. I'll talk to you later. All right, bye.